We've helped some clients recently buy their owner-occupied residence here in the Brisbane market for around $1.2 million. So in this video, we're going to be looking at some of the photos, talking through the value proposition and sharing my clients' experience working with us as buyer's agents here in the Brisbane market. And these clients of mine were a young couple looking to buy here in Southeast Queensland. Now, prior to signing up with us as buyer's agents, my clients had actually been looking for a property for a fairly long time. They've been looking themselves for around 6 months and couldn't find the right property at their price point in the right location. There are so many factors that come into making either an investment or an owner-occupied purchase. We need to look at the affordability, we need to look at the location, the size of the property, the school zones, the transport and infrastructure, the long-term growth potential of the suburb and the street. There's a lot of factors that come into making that purchase decision. So the first thing we did was sit down, have a look at my clients' potential goals and what they were wanting to purchase in the Brisbane market. Now, they had a budget up around that $1.2 million price range, and they were looking for a blue chip location. Their short-term plan was to rent the property out with the long-term vision of moving up from Sydney into the Brisbane market and making this property their owner-occupied residence. So what we did and what we do with all of our clients is we sat down and had a detailed chat. We broke down the price, we broke down their strategy. We then broke down the suburbs that we would recommend as buyer's agents. So I made a recommendation of around 6 to 10 focus suburbs to narrow in on based on their price of $1.2 million and based on their strategy of looking for a blue chip location which had owner-occupier appeal and they could rent out for a reasonable price in the short term and move into that property as part of their longer term vision. We then dived into the property specifics. So we wanted the property to have at least 600 square meters, and we also wanted the property to be quite large. They were looking for a larger home, so at least 4 bed and ideally a couple of car parking spaces as well. Finally, the last thing we do in our buying brief sessions with clients that sign up is we go through red flags. So what to avoid. You want to avoid fire, you want to avoid flood, you want to avoid landslide. You don't want to be on the back of a school or in a commercial or an industrial area, or under noise corridors or on a main road or thoroughfare. So we listed those things out and then we put together a clear buying brief. And that all led to this purchase, which we're going to have a look at now. So this was the front facade of the property. Now, one of the things my clients were really looking for is a property in good condition. They did not want to be looking for a renovator. Now, we work with investors and owner-occupiers, and everyone's got a different brief and a different risk profile as well. So when it came to this property, we were looking for something that was renovated, ready to go, and would rent out for quite a strong yield. So the front facade had been rendered here, the whole house had been repainted inside and out, and the home was in very good condition. You can see here actually in the real estate photos, they've touched up the grass a little bit and made it a little bit greener than it actually was. But overall, the property presented really well. It has concreted space to park several cars and even a trailer or a boat off to the side. And because the block is elevated, the home has quite a nice stance on the block, and that top balcony has a great view. So the backstory with this property is it had been on the market for several months, and we look at aged listings as part of what we do as buyer's agents. And we were able to negotiate with the selling agent on price because the property had been on the market and the seller was looking to exit out of the property. You can see here they've done some nice renovations, had the whole home repainted, updated the light fixtures to LEDs, put in new ceiling fans. And this was the view from the front of the property. So it's in a great position and had a great view from the top balcony. Now, the seller had put a lot of money into this kitchen and into this renovation, and they were looking to cash out of the deal, which worked in our favor. You can see here they put in a brand new kitchen and updated the oven. They put in quite a large oven, which was its own issue. They actually hadn't installed the wire racks in the oven, so we sorted that out as part of the building and pest. But overall, the home was in great condition. The extension on the property created more living spaces, and there was also a bonus space, not counting as a bedroom, but a multi-purpose area, which could be used for a home study or a home gym. The staging was very tasteful in this property, and it presented really well. So this is a shot of the shared bathroom. They've tiled floor to ceiling. They put in a glass pane, kept it quite open and transparent in terms of the spaces, which is very light, bright and modern. And it's a little bit of a contrast to the master ensuite. So they didn't actually quite upgrade the master ensuite, which had had a renovation in the mid-2000s. So you can see they kept the old vanity here. The bathtub was not new. And you can see here that the shower and tiles aren't brand new either. So the home had been renovated on the exterior and throughout the bulk of the home, but the master ensuite was lacking a little bit and could have been upgraded to match the rest of the property. Now, the real scenario with this property is that it took the seller a fairly long time to finish these renovations, and it cost them more than they'd originally thought, which can happen when you're renovating a property. And so this bred opportunity for us as buyers agents to jump on this opportunity and present it to our clients. After chatting with our clients on this purchase, they really love the home. They really love the location. So this property is located less than 10 kilometers from Brisbane CBD, in a blue chip area which has really strong long-term growth potential. As you could see in the original photos, the property is elevated and has quite a nice position on the street, including that view from the top balcony. Now, when we work with owner-occupiers, it is difficult for our clients to not become emotional, and that's one of the reasons they use our services. As I mentioned earlier, our clients were taking their time to try and find the right property and were struggling to find the right deal in the market. After working with us and doing that buying brief and refining our scope and strategy, we were able to find and present suitable opportunities, and we did miss out on properties prior to this one that had ticked a lot of boxes. But after finding this property, it was within their price point under that $1.2 million price range, and it ticked a lot of boxes from their own criteria. So we jumped at the opportunity and were able to secure this purchase. Now, as with a lot of property purchases, nothing is ever perfect, and we did run into a few issues which we had to sort out with the selling agent and the vendor throughout this process. You can see in this shot here that there's cracking in the ceiling between two sheets that were resheeted at the front of the property. So we organized as part of the building and pest and as part of our pre-settlement inspection to make sure this issue was rectified. And my clients also came through the property with me on the pre-settlement to check that everything was okay and they were happy with the outcome of the fixes. The other key item was this oven space. So you can see they've got a massive Westinghouse oven here, which is about 90 centimeters wide, and it was missing the wire racks being installed because the home had been newly renovated, but it hadn't been lived in. So we made sure as we went through that the oven was working and that they'd installed the racks correctly upon doing the pre-settlement inspection. Now, in my personal journey, Emily and I have always loved looking for renovations and undertaking those renovations to add value. But I understand that people who are owner-occupiers and working professionals don't always want to take on those jobs themselves, and then don't have a passion for it like I have a passion for property. And so buying these ready-made properties that have been renovated and meet the buying criteria to suit you can be the right choice for some people. And so this was the case for my clients when making this purchase. We were able to find a property within that 10-kilometer ring of Brisbane CBD with transport and infrastructure and proximity to the CBD and local schools and shops, and with an elevated position and quite a large home. So this property was ticking a lot of boxes in terms of that key criteria. Now, one of the reasons people choose purpose property to work with them as owner-occupiers is we don't just wear an owner-occupied cap and look at the characteristics of a property, we also look at the fundamentals of a location. So what are the drivers for demand in this location? What does the supply look like? And what is the long-term potential of this area? This was really important for my clients, both finding the right home for themselves over the long term and finding a property that was primed for long-term growth and a property that had reasonable cash flow as part of their short-term strategy to rent the property out before moving in. So as a takeaway, everyone's circumstances are different. We all have different budgets, we all have different strategies, and we all have different locations we're going to be narrowing in on. It's important to find the right property for you, for the right price in the right location. So if you're interested in working with me and my team, then head over to purposeproperty.com.au to book in a free strategy session. We'll sit down for around half an hour, have a chat about your situation, have a chat about your long-term objectives and how we might be able to help you achieve them. And as you can see, we help both owner-occupiers and investors in the Southeast Queensland market. If the $1.2 million price range isn't quite for you, then maybe check out this recent client purchase at around the $500,000 mark. So click this video over here to see that. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.